All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to talk about one of Postman's most powerful and seriously time-saving features, environments and variables. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you're going to have a pro workflow that'll totally change how you test your APIs.
So let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar? You're deep in testing a new feature, right? All your requests are hitting the staging server. Then, bam, a critical production bug lands on your desk. So what do? You have to go through every single request, find that URL, and manually copy-paste the production address. Ugh, it's slow, it's tedious, and let's be honest, it's just asking for a copy-paste mistake.
Well, what if I told you there's a much, much better way? We're going to build a one-click workflow that gets rid of all that manual work. You'll be able to switch between entire server configs instantly and without any errors. The secret sauce here? It's all about Postman environments. So what is an environment, really? The easiest way to think about it is like a little container, or maybe a settings file, just for your variables. So instead of hard-coding stuff like your base URL or your API keys right into your requests, you just pop them into an environment. This is huge because it totally separates your configuration from your actual API calls. And setting this up, it's seriously so easy. You just head over to the Environments tab on the left, click that little plus button, and give your new environment a name. For our purposes, we're going to create two of them, one called Staging and another one called Production. That's literally it. You're already halfway there. Okay, now here's where it gets cool. Look at how we set up the variables inside each environment. Notice the variable names? They're exactly the same, base URL and API key. But, and this is the key, the values are totally different for staging versus production. This is the whole idea right here. Same variable name, different context, different value. And now for the magic trick. In your actual API request, instead of that long hard-coded URL, you just type the variable name inside double curly braces, just like that. Then you just go to that little drop-down menu in the top right corner of Postman, pick the environment you want, and boom, Postman instantly swaps in the right value. One click, and your entire collection is pointing to a completely different server. How cool is that?
I mean, look at the difference here. The old way? It's just a minefield of copy-paste errors and wasted time. But the Postman way? It's fast, it's reliable, and it lets you focus on what actually matters. The API logic, not juggling URLs. And this is the real takeaway. This isn't just a nice-to-have feature. It's a fundamental shift to a professional, bulletproof way of testing.
Okay, so this is all great, but you might be thinking, hang on, what happens if I have a variable with the same name in a few different places? Great question. Postman has a super clear hierarchy for this, and it's called scope. Let's break it down real quick.
So, Postman has 5 levels of scope, and they go from broadest to most specific. You've got global, which is available everywhere, then collection, which is just for requests inside that one collection, then environment, which we've been talking about, that's only for the active environment. And then you get even more specific, with data variables for running tests with files, and finally, local variables, which are super temporary ones you set in scripts.
But here's the one thing you absolutely have to remember. The golden rule. The narrowest scope always wins. So if you have a base URL variable in your global scope and in your active environment, Postman is going to use the one from the environment every single time because it's more specific. The big takeaway? Use the most specific scope you can. It'll keep your workspace clean, predictable, and way less buggy.
All right, so environments are perfect for stuff that doesn't change much, like URLs. But what about data that has to be unique for every single API call? Things like a unique transaction ID or a fresh timestamp. You can't just save that in an environment, right? For that, we need to turn to scripts. What you're looking at here is a pre-request script. It's just a little snippet of JavaScript that runs before your request is sent. Let's walk through it. That first line uses a cool built-in Postman variable to generate a brand new, totally unique ID. Then the second line uses pm.environment.set to save that new ID into an environment variable we're calling current_request_ID. And the best part? This happens automatically every single time you hit send. Okay, so now we're sending requests like a pro, but we can take it even one step further. Instead of just getting a response back and eyeballing it to see if it's okay, we can write scripts to check the response for us. This, my friends, is where API testing becomes truly automated. This right here is a post-response script.
As the name suggests, it runs after you get the response back. We've got two super simple tests here. The first one just checks if the HTTP status is 200 OK, the classic everything went well code. The second one is a bit smarter. It grabs the JSON response and makes sure it has a field in it called token.
So let's put that in plain English. Every time we run this request, our script is automatically asking two critical questions. First, did the server say success? And second, did it give us the authentication token we need? If the answer to either of those is no, Postman's going to tell us instantly.
All right, time to put it all together. Let's see how this entire workflow can save your bacon in a high-pressure, totally realistic scenario.
Okay, here's the situation. A support ticket flies in, red alert. Login is broken in production, but your team is swearing up and down it was working perfectly fine in staging yesterday. The pressure's on. You've got to find and fix this bug, and you need to do it fast.
But you've got this awesome workflow we just built. So what's step one? No hunting for URLs. You just go to that drop-down, switch the environment from staging to production. One click, done. And step two? You find your login request, and you hit send. Another single click. The exact same request that was working a second ago is now hitting the production server. And there it is, instantly. You look at the test results tab and you see red, failure. The status code might be 200 OK, but our second test, the one looking for the token field, it failed. The server isn't sending back the auth token in production. Just think about that for a second. No digging through endless server logs, no guessing games. In 2 clicks, literally seconds, you haven't just reproduced the bug, you've diagnosed the exact root cause. The production API is responding differently. That is the power of this workflow. And you know what's really amazing? Everything we just did, the environments, the variables, the scripts, the automated tests, even running your whole collection as many times as you want, it's all available on the Postman free plan. This isn't some enterprise feature. It's a professional-grade workflow that anyone can use starting today.
So, I'll leave you with this one final thought. Think about your current testing process right now. How much time, how much frustration could a clean, automated, one-click workflow just like this one save you and your team? Not in a month, but every single week.